Alright, welcome everybody to a special Sunday post-fight commentary, courtesy of Mr.BDA himself. I hope you're all doing fantastic out there. It's snowing right now, so I wish I could do a live chat podcast today, but Sundays aren't really the best day for Mr.BDA. He's busy and out of the house on those days, so I'm just gonna give you a quick video, quick rundown of my comments regarding last night's Lomachenko's victory over Rigondeaux. Surprising, at least to me. But King Bucho, Reverse Lee, and some of our other panelists called it. They said there was going to be a mismatch. But here's the thing where they were wrong. They said that this was going to be a mismatch because of size and youth, but it really wasn't. It came down to skills. It was Vasyl Lomachenko's skills that won him the fight, and they were able to embarrass, really, Rigondeaux. I mean, let's face it, he embarrassed Rigondeaux. Two-time gold medalist, world champion who had scarcely been in a tough fight. I'm talking about Rigondeaux, that is. And man, he just quit. You know, and I know Hamed, one of our panelists, doesn't like the word quitting. And I have to agree with him. I don't like the word either. I mean, it's retired, whatever. But hey, who else but Lomachenko can do what he does? You know, he doesn't give guys beatings, essentially. Well, I mean, like with Walters, he didn't give him a beating. He just dances around them and makes them quit. Even Sugar Ray Leonard couldn't do that twice. Lomachenko, man, let me tell you something. If you don't think he's special, if you don't know he's special, then you're watching the wrong sport. You don't know what you're watching. Again, the size difference didn't make a difference. It didn't make an impact here because, you know, I understand if people wanted to use the excuse. If Lomachenko had out-muscled Rigondeaux, if he had fought him like, let's say, Rocky Marciano or George Foreman, using those elbows and pushing him back and really just digging body shots, but he didn't. He outboxed Rigondeaux. And Rigondeaux, I thought his footwork was going to give Lomachenko problems. It really wasn't that gave him problems. It was the upper body movement and the clinching. From the first round on, that's all Rigondeaux was doing. Clinching, clinching, clinching. He had no answer. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I predicted that Rigondeaux didn't know how to fight on the inside. He'd never shown inside skills. That's always what, even against outmatched opponents, he would clinch on the inside. He's more of a long-range boxer, and when Lomachenko was able to cut off the distance really quickly and get inside whenever he wanted to, Rigondeaux was shocked and he had to clinch. It was really, listen, I'm sitting here and I'm surprised, man, because I thought it was a 50-50 fight. And like I said, though, the size difference, age difference didn't make a difference. It had no impact. It was Lomachenko's skills. Now, of course, we gotta deal with people saying Lomachenko is the best ever. Obviously, I don't think he's the best ever, but I do think he might just be the best fighter out there. Again, I don't like talking about pound for pound lists, about who's number one, who's number two, who's number three, you know, that type of organization. But I think it's safe to say that Lomachenko is doing things that nobody else is doing out there right now. Yes, a guy like Crawford, who is more, you know, standard, I would say, more basic in what he does, but nevertheless just as dominant. But he's not making guys quit, you know, he's beating them down. Lomachenko is like a psychological killer. He goes in there, he dances around you, you know, taps you here and there, puts on a big shot in between those pity pads, and just makes you quit, man. I mean, I've never seen professional, you know, it's one thing when he made Nicholas Walters quit, but making a guy like Rigondeaux quit, that is very impressive. And I'll tell you why I think Rigondeaux quit so soon in the fight, because, I mean, he didn't even get to the championship rounds. I think it was because here's Rigondeaux, who's used to beating everybody, and not just beating them, dominating them, completely dominating them, and he thinks he's the best ever. Now all of a sudden somebody comes in there and toys with him. What do you think that does to a guy's psyche? Somebody that thinks, you know, it shatters the world, and this happens to people when they go to war, you know, or they see something traumatic. Trauma is a result of your expectations of life, the framework that you have of life being disrupted or crumbling, and that's what happened to Rigondeaux. I'm not saying he's got you know, post-traumatic stress disorder right now, but I'm saying is it was a shock to him. And that hand thing, a lot of people are saying, well, you know, he didn't even land a punch. How did he hurt his hand? I'm gonna give Rigo the benefit of the doubt for the moment. But if they don't come up with any X-rays or any proof that he did hurt his hand, I'm gonna have to be inclined to agree with most of the people out there. I think he was looking for a way out. Like I said, I think his worldview was shattered by Lomachenko's skills. You know, and the other thing is, again, what's the proof that Lomachenko's skills won him the fight? The fact that Rigondeaux wasn't even able to land a punch. He just did it, and that fact that Lomachenko didn't land that many shots either. It was just, you know, a couple of pity pats because Rigondeaux was ducking his head excessively, by the way, or clinching when he wasn't doing that. So Lomachenko could really only land, you know, a pity pat here or there. So it didn't have anything to do with size. It's not like Lomachenko's power won the day. So again, that's proof right there that it was Lomachenko's skills. And Rigondeaux didn't land a punch either. He couldn't hit him, and that's another factor about why he quit. Because he said, wait a minute, I can't land a punch against this guy. What am I gonna do? And you know, somebody made an interesting comment on the internet. They said that ever since Lomachenko iced Rocky Martinez, you know, everybody out there is quitting, and it's true. I think they don't wanna go out the way Martinez is. Now, Mariaga took a bit of a beating. He quit before things got too rough. Jason Sosa really took a beating. I mean, it was a type of beating that you just, you know, they had to stop that fight. It was gonna get even uglier if the fight went on. You know, I want to criticize Rigondeaux here a little bit, because everybody that gets inside that squared circle is, you know, they have heart. But again, relative to each other, to professional boxers, some have less heart than others. And I think Rigondeaux showed why he was never a big star. By quitting, yes, last night, he showed why. King Bucho, first of all, called it. King Bucho said, I think Rigondeaux is going to quit. And that was a dead-on prediction. And it just shows, again, why Rigondeaux was never a big star, because he was never willing to put it all out there. I mean, take a look at the Cordoba fight. It's a close fight, and what does he do? He fights the same way. He moves around, allowed the fight to be more competitive than it should have been, when he should have been throwing at least more punches, throw more combinations. Against, you know, on the undercard of Canelo Cotto was his big moment to shine. And what does he do? Runs around the ring and throws about 5-10 punches around. Not even a combination. So, and then he would say, well, you know, it's because he's the type of guy that doesn't want to take risks, because in his mind, he's the one taking the punishment. So why should he risk it? But then again, if you're using that excuse as a boxer, then don't expect people to risk their hard-earned money by watching you, you know, just give a half-assed performance by running around the ring and throwing 4 or 5 punches around. And that's what happened with Rigondeaux here. It was another demonstration of he wasn't being able, he wasn't landing any shots. He knew it was over. So instead of going all out and saying, you know what, maybe I can land the right, even let's say his left hand was hurt. He could have at least, you know, he's got one hand. You know, that's the way boxers look at it. Now, I know as a human being, a logical guy who's a non-fighter, you can look at that and say, look at what Rigo did. Well, it's smart. He's hurt. Why should he keep going? But it's the all-time greats and their craziness that makes them all-time greats. That ability and that willingness to put it all out there and risk their health, their long-term health, in order to get that win. Just that possibility that it might land that one shot. Look at Diego Corrales. Busted lip against Casamayor in the first fight. Really bad lip. It was split open. It looks like his full face was about to get split in half. He wanted to keep going. Dr. Margaret Goodman stopped the fight. You know, good for her. She was always protecting fighters. But Corrales, what I'm trying to say is, he wanted to keep going despite that injury. So what I'm saying is, all-time great fighters, they don't look for a way out. They don't look at that at injuries and say, oh my god, this injury is going to affect me. No, they say, you know what, I'm just going to keep doing what I got to do. And almost land that big punch, or outwork the guy. Gatti again, Arturo Gatti, busted hand against Ward. He kept boxing. But Rigondeaux was not outboxing Lomachenko. He wasn't even landing punches. So that's why he quit. He knew it was going to go downhill from there. So yeah, that's why that's why you see Rigondeaux's career going the way it did, because he was never willing to put it out there, not even throw a goddamn combination. Even Mayweather tried to be more entertaining in that 2004-2005 period. He would try to slug it out with, not slug it out with guys, but he was putting more pressure, throwing combinations, and that paid dividends for him in the end, because you can't outbox guys all the goddamn time. Another thing is, a certain Rigondeaux fans now, or not necessarily Rigondeaux fans, but just people that were rooting for him because they share the same color of skin. Like King Butcher said, now they're throwing him under the bus. And I think Haymanites did a meme about that as well, about how they were going to throw him under the bus, just like what they did with Walters. And now they're throwing Rigondeaux under the bus. And now here's the excuses that I'm hearing from some people. I'm hearing excuses by some that the fight was rigged, that it was bought, that it was crooked, because they find it strange that Rigondeaux wasn't able to land any punches. Well, Nicholas Walters didn't land any punches either. Neither did Marriaga or Jason Sosa, for that matter. Actually, Jason Sosa and Marriaga landed more punches than Walters and Rigondeaux, and those two guys are better. You know, Rigondeaux and Walters are better fighters than Sosa and Marriaga. But it's about styles and it's about letting your hands go. Another thing that people are saying is that Rigondeaux or that Lomachenko isn't that good, that it was a size disadvantage. But then again, you can't say that, because those same people were saying that despite the size disadvantage and the youth disadvantage, the age disadvantage, I say, despite that, they were saying that Rigondeaux was going to win anyway. Now all of a sudden it did make a difference. I mean, come on guys, you can't have it both ways. I even heard one prominent YouTuber saying that he felt as if his dog had died. And he felt, and this is what he said, I felt, after watching Rigondeaux quit, I felt like as if I had been robbed by a homosexual. So that's the type of effect it's having on certain people, and you can tell that these people aren't boxing fans, because they're being affected that much by the result of a fight. They're that emotionally invested into a fighter, and not just even because they like him, it's just because, again, color of skin. Again, I don't want to get into the whole race thing, but I just find it interesting, and I find it peculiar that people, you know, grown men would behave that way. Again, we all have our favorites, we all have guys that we hold more regard for, or in higher regard, but come on, it's just boxing. And even if people are taunting you on the internet because you made the wrong prediction or whatever, so what? It's the internet. Do you care that much about what people say on the internet? I mean, if you care a little bit, that's fine, but to the point you're doing it right now, nah. So now what's next for Lomachenko? Well, again, don't want to make this video run too long, but I suspect he's got big things ahead of him. Again, he's not destroying people the way Pacquiao did, or any other, or like Golovkin, but he's dazzling people. He's dazzling the audience. And can he become a big pay-per-view star? Hey, let me tell you something. This Rigondeaux win certainly went a long way to do that, I think. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him, obviously. I think everybody knows that. I'm not the only one saying that. So, good for Lomachenko, man. He was able to outbox, befuddle, and make a two-time Olympic gold medalist and world champion, undefeated, that quit without even really landing that much punishment. That is, my friends, what we call a special fighter. We got a special fighter on our hands, and you better appreciate him, because they don't come along that much or that often. Anyway, that was a Mr.BDA's post-fight comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give us some suggestions about what type of videos you'd like to see. Don't forget to join us every Saturday for live podcasts, debate, chat podcast. You can join us via Google Hangouts and talk to us that way. Again, any suggestions you may have for any videos, go ahead and give them to us. Tell us what we got right, tell us what we got wrong. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one, folks. Take care.